by the ring finger coming down. And then the most interesting one, this is your heart line. Love line, marriage line.
Mm.
You're looking at the little line, like when you bend your finger, or you're looking at the big one that comes down?
This is your heart line. This is your heart. The bigger one is your heart line. The smaller ones are all the liaisons that you have. And the deepest one of them is your marriage line.
Oh, that's very interesting.
And if you take a magnifying lens, you could even see the children. The fine lines coming out of the marriage line.
Oh, wow. Did you know all that?
Mm-mm.
So that's
I'm still looking for
I know it is. So basically what she's talking about is the line up here.
right.
This is the love line.
The heart line.
And then I was joking around about my intelligence line, but I really think you're talking about this one. Oh, here, wait, she's going to zoom in on it. Okay. So this line here is the heart line. This line here is the intelligence line.
Right.
And then this line here was your lifeline that goes all the way down. Can you get that?
You're a good listener.
I know, I'm trying.
I got that.
And then when you go like that, the line here is where you're talking about is
the
your
marriage
love
line.
and marriage line. Okay. And we would need a magnifying glass. We're not that technologically advanced here at Access 23 TV.
See, now on this hand, I have a line. I have 4.
You do have an extra line in your hands.
I do.
Where did it go?
Does it split?
In between the heart and the intelligence.
It's almost like her intelligence line splits.
That's a double headline. What that means, should I talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay. What that means is you probably have 2 minds. You may have an intellectual side. You have an
Keep telling her
intellectual
she's
side
crazy. Nobody listens to
and
me.
a non-intellectual or an artistic side.
Uh-huh.
That makes sense.
You have 2 sides. You have a double mind, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And that's your imaginative side. Sometimes it goes sloping all the way down like mine does. And when I was a child, I said to myself, I was in no way artistic. I was completely a bookworm. And, it was all about studying and doing well in school and everything. I never dreamt that I would become an artist. And I would look at the line and joke with my dad and say, I think that's not going to come true. And he said, you don't know yet.
Right.
You're only 12 or 13. You have your whole life ahead of you.
Right.
You don't know that yet. And he always kept it open. And then you also have your fingers.
Okay.
And the length of the fingers in proportion to one another.
Okay.
Okay.
That tells you a lot, the shape of the hand. There's 7 shapes. You have different names, all 7 different ones. And then you have your little lines called phalanges. And that also tells you a lot.
See, now that I did not, I'm not an expert in palmistry by no means, but I know they read the lines. But now that is honestly the first time that I've ever heard that the length of your fingers also have significance and that the lines on your fingers, that's very interesting. So what does that, is that personality?
Yes,
or, okay.
exactly.
See, I am psychic.
Yes, you are. It tells you about your mindset
Okay.
and your personality type and also your interests.
Okay.
It tells you, like Kiro that I mentioned, the palmist, he could tell a murderer by his hand.
Really?
He traveled often, as I mentioned, and in the train ride, because they traveled a lot in the train in those days, he would ask his fellow travelers to open their palms and shut them, and then proceed with the conversation accordingly.
I'm just sitting here thinking there's some people I would like to check out. And wouldn't that be nice at the airport when you're getting on a plane? So can I just see your hands? We're going to have her come on and do a whole show about that. We'll call it Security 101 Palmistry. Wait, isn't that really serious?
That is
Did you
interesting.
ever hear
No,
that?
I haven't heard that
I knew
before.
about love life and
the
how
life,
long you're going to live and the kid thing. I've heard that before. How many times you're going to be married, that whole thing. Hopefully that line's missing for me because once was enough. Hopefully I only have one line there. When you smush your finger, right here. But like you said, those lines, you need
they're
a
very
glass
fine,
to look.
very fine.
They're very fine lines. But that is amazing.
And then you
that he
also
would
have
do
your
that.
nails.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we all have
I
painted
was just going to
nails.
say, we all have them.
So it's a little hard, but for men, you could see the shape of the nails. You have like a roundish shape.
Mm-hmm.
You have like a pointed conic shape. Then you have like the square shape,
Okay.
and then you have oblong. So you have different, and then the fingers being very short mean one thing, and very long means one
So
thing.
what does short mean?
Short means practical. It's very practical. And long and lean means artistic.
That's very interesting.
And I always struggled as a child because I thought of myself as very practical, very intellectual. And everybody who looked at me would say, "Do you play the piano?"
Right.
I'd be like, "No, I do not."
Oh,
But now, the first thing I have to say when people ask me is, "I'm an artist," because that's
Right.
what I do now.
right.
So it's like changed, complete 360 degrees.
That is amazing. That is really, thank you for sharing all of that.
Yeah.
My
Art.
pleasure.
How did you get involved with that? Because, on Create Your Reality, when I originally decided to do the show, I didn't want to make it just like a psychic call-in show because, you started years ago like I did. And back then, it wasn't as well known as it is now, and definitely not as accepted as it is now. And it wasn't all over the TV and the radio. So I didn't want to just do a psychic show. Like, I wanted to do a show to help people, inspire people, give people knowledge about things that they wouldn't come across in their everyday lives, to kind of open their minds
Like
and
palm
go,
reading.
yeah, and exactly like palm reading. And it's funny because we kind of put the information out there, and then it's the audience job to kind of figure out what clicks for them and what doesn't. So, following through with the art and something that you're obviously now very passionate about, how did you make that transition, and how did that all come about?
Well, I think I mentioned I was ill, and I had a lot of problems at one time, which is not so cool. And doctors had a very hard time after a lot of tests in diagnosing even one of the problems. So here I was. I could barely walk. I couldn't eat much. And there was not much I could do. And being a very active person, I'm someone who works out every single day. And I was just almost tied. I felt very restricted and imprisoned, not being able to physically move. I was dizzy all the time, so I really couldn't hold a book and read. There was not much I could do. And I guess the psychics in me said, this is just a phase. I knew that I would get out of it. But rather than go crazy, I said I have to do something to pass the time and keep myself occupied. I can't keep thinking about things I have no control over and getting crazy and nutty. The back of my mind as a child, I always wanted to paint. I never really spent time in developing it because I was into reading and getting educated. And I really had no time for art. And I said, maybe this is the time I could start that, because I never had time to do it before. This is a good time. And I was living in Europe at the time. I was in France. And I could walk down to the art school because I couldn't drive. I could walk down. And I walked down to school and started art classes and, took trips, field trips, and visited the south of France where all the masters were. And I was walking down where Van Gogh walked at one time. And I just felt like I've done this before. I've seen this before. I have to create it now. So I started with paints. And here we are today. I do paint and, I do have exhibitions. I have my work in galleries and pretty actively involved with that.
Wow.
That's a wonderful story because, and again, I'm not glad that you got sick, but so many people get sick. And again, there's that hopelessness and people give up so easy, and how many people would have just said, this is it, my life has changed and I have to accept it. And instead you said, okay, for the time being, I can't do what I normally did before. So what am I going to do to fill that time, but yet keep myself inspired and moving forward? And that's huge. A lot of people don't even see that as an option.
A lot of people don't do that in just normal everyday life.
Right.
They have a job, they have their family, and they just
Right.
plug along. Nobody makes a major life change unless you're stuck in a situation like that.
And I'm always
to do a
talking
positive
about,
way.
right. I'm always talking about like it's every person's individual choice, regardless of what's going on in your life, to either be reactive to the things that are going on around you and say, poor me, you know, if I had that person's life, I'd be happy, but I don't. Or to take a proactive role and say, all right, this is what's going on, but I can get through this. And, you know, what can I do to make it better for myself? So, how often do you do shows and stuff?
Right now, when I just came back from Europe, I was more active with it because I didn't really come back to my life that I had before. But now I have, and so it's still a big part of my life. I do a show in New York once in a while, a year, and then one in New Hope. So a couple times a year, but then we have galleries down in Stroudsburg where I live, and I do monthly galleries there.
Wow. Wow. And where do you do your readings and stuff?
We have fairs
Okay.
and sometimes tarot parties.
Okay.
That's really becoming popular.
Okay.
In fact, I have one for Halloween. So that's always fun.
Right.
Right.
And if somebody wants to get in touch with you, you can go onto the website, spiritquesthealingcenter.com, and just email me, and I'll get them in touch with you if they, not that we're taking any excuses for why someone can't be at the Health and Healing Expo on Sunday, November 8th at 11 a.m.
Right.
But in case you have a really, really good excuse that we might let slip by and you want to get in touch with her, you could just email me and I'll pass it along
Great.
to you. Questions?
A ton of them, but I'd have to pay for reading.
Yes, because there are no freebies on Create Your Reality. I am the bouncer of the psychics. Do you have any general questions?
I'm thinking, I mean, my head's still spinning with that
I
whole
just really
thing.
think
I'm
that's,
trying to figure
yeah,
out how to ask questions that aren't related to me personally.
Right. It is very interesting though, with like the length of fingers and all of that too.
If you wanted to do more research on it, is there a particular book that you would think you could go find at the library to do more
There
reading
are
on?
some books. There are some books. Unfortunately, there aren't too many. We have a lot on the tarot cards. Yep, a lot of resources and a lot of good ones. But the palmistry, I don't know why. I can still picture my dad's library. These books are very old. And he had the best collection. And
Maybe we have to encourage her to write a book of her own.
I've never come across a collection. I'm always on the lookout. I'm always looking on the net to purchase them. I've
Right.
never found. I do have a couple books, but they just don't hit the spot. And you'll probably still be having those questions.
Right. So what are you going to be doing at the expo? I mean, we know you're going to be doing readings, but what are you going to do, like a combination of things? Or
Yeah.
what are you going to be doing at the expo?
I'm going to be doing a combination of the tarot cards and the runes. And if the energy is there, I might look at their hand. It
Okay.
depends. Every card is different.
Right.
You know, sometimes they have something that's answered and they want to leave. You know, they're
Okay.
happy, they're satisfied. They have more questions.
Right.
It depends.
That would be me.
That'll be Misty. And just to let people know, at the event, the Health and Healing Expo, part of the proceeds we had mentioned before are being donated to the Gate. Do I have their information with me? Which is an amazing organization. They work with disabled children and some adults too. And their information is www.gaitpa.com. And we're actually going to be donating that money in memory of Jean Work, who is was connected to Tina, who's co-sponsoring with us. So when you come to the expo, there is, I think I could say the admission, can I? I better not. There's a very minimal admission to get in, and all of that is going to this charity. And then we'll have 25 vendor tables, information tables. We have 18 psychics, palm readers, mediums. There'll be aura photography there. There'll be 18 healers of all different modalities, Reiki and all different things.
Reflexology.
Reflexology, thank you. Yes, reflexology. And then we will also have 3 workshop rooms that will be going on all day long. Some of the workshops are free. Some of them, again, are a minimal fee. But with the readers, they'll be doing like 15, 20-minute readings each. So it's nice. There is a separate fee for that, but it's nice because you can go to a couple of different people during the day if you want. The same thing with healers. So the expo is designed to give you a taste of everything.
Mm-hmm. Figure out what works for you.
Exactly. And every year, I honestly, because I am very picky with the expo, as you know, because you've helped me with them before, but I go out of my way to find like the best people in the area.
They usually find you.
Yeah. Because I always am fascinated by the amazing people that we have right in our area that nobody knows about.
Sure.
You know, sometimes we don't even know about each other, and these events really bring all of those people together. And it's great because it helps the charity that we pick.
Yeah.
It helps the people that are doing the work to get their name out there, and it helps the people that come. And I can't tell you, you know, the first one I ever did was in 2000, and we were talking before the show. I still have people that come to me from that first expo 10 years ago. That fascinates me.
That is fascinating.
You know?
It is.
And a lot of them have gone on to open their own healing centers or start their own private practices. And they'll say to me, you know, my first introduction to this whole holistic, new age, whatever you feel comfortable calling it, was through that expo, which is fascinating because that was really my first exposure was at a psychic fair. So it's kind of like you feel like you got to
Pass it
pass it
on.
on, yeah. So it's kind of interesting. The other thing that I wanted to ask you too, I know you said that like you were over in Europe and stuff. What do you find different cultures are more or less accepting of the whole psychic thing?
I believe, well, in France, they're not very religious.
Mm-hmm.
I think that makes them more open
Mm-hmm.
because they're not closed. It's not about Christianity or Catholicism or demonizing or witch-sizing, whatever. They're just very open. And it doesn't mean they're all believers in esoteric metaphysical subjects, but they're not closed. And I think they're more accepting, being that they're open.
Right.
And a lot of Europe is that way because they separate the church from everything else. Even the religious ones. Church is church. Public life is public life. Private life is private life. What they hold sacred in Europe is their family.
Okay.
And that's it. That's off limits. Family is very private.
That's very interesting.
That is.
You know, because here I think, I mean, like I said before, I think it's definitely come a long way and people are a lot more open to it.
Well, even just from when I met you, I had some friends say to me, a fortune teller?
Yeah, I love when people call me that.
And now, you know, I'll mention Lisa Ann. They're like, oh, yeah, the psychic.
Right.
The psychic. You know, it's a different energy about just discussing
people understand it more.
Sure.
what it is.
It is. And, you know, I don't think people realize it is a whole different way of thinking. You know, that client that I was talking about earlier, I was trying to give examples to him, like how trusting your intuition means that you don't plan every step along the way. Like you have to get to that point where you have to kind of let go and go, okay, I'm going to have the faith that this is going to happen. So I was telling him a story. When I bought my house in 2005 and closed my shop, I have like a huge room that's my healing center. And I had renovated the whole room. So I had ordered carpet, and the carpet came the week before Thanksgiving, and it was wet, damaged, and completely the wrong color. So they had put the padding and everything down. So I said to the guy, I'll pay you for the padding, but I don't have time to wait for more carpet. So I have to get it somewhere else. I went to a local carpet place, bought the carpet, and he said to me I could have it in like a week. So it was going to be like a couple of days before Thanksgiving. He goes, but I cannot even get this installed till after New Year's because I am just backlogged. So I go, all right, that's not a problem. Now I had to be out of my shop by the last day of November, okay? And it's like the room is huge. It's over like a 2-car garage, like an oversized 2-car garage. So I get my father's truck because I'm insane. And I'm driving. I'm going to go get the carpet myself because they can't deliver it. And I have nobody with me. So I'm on my way to get the carpet. And my girlfriend calls me and she says, oh, you found someone to install it? I go, no. She goes, well, what are you going to do? I said, I have no doubt in my mind that my carpet will be laid today because the universe knows that I need this done because I have to get out of my shop. So she goes, yeah, let me know how that's going to work for you. But in the meantime, do you have a backup plan? I said, well, honestly, and I was totally sincere about this. I said, I was just going to kind of drive around the area and see if anybody was getting carpet installed and, offer them cash to install the carpet. I mean, what am I going to do? So she goes, you are too funny. I said, I'm telling you, I will bet you any amount of money my carpet will be installed today. She calls me back. I swear this is a true story. She calls me back 5 minutes later and she is hysterical laughing. She lived in a condo and she says to me, I just got out of the shower and I'm hearing all of this noise outside my door, banging and moving and people yelling back and forth. She goes, so I quick threw my sweats on and I go out there. She goes, my neighbor was having carpet installed. She goes, so I ran out there with the towel on my head and I told the guy your whole crazy story. Here's his phone number. He can be there in an hour. By the time I got to the place to pick the carpet up, I already had the installer. He met me at my house while I was driving my carpet home, and I got my carpet installed that day. But that is the way my life works. I just don't, well, sometimes I stress about it, but I don't worry about it. I just go, okay, this is what I need. I have no idea. I didn't spend hours going through the phone book calling everybody because I already knew. I had been told nobody can put this carpet down. So, sometimes you just have to throw your hands up, take a step back.
And let it happen.
And let whatever your belief system is, the universe, God, whatever, take care of it for you. So, but he just was totally couldn't even relate to that. But that's the way our worlds work. You've seen it.
I've seen it. I've been there.
You've seen. We was it last? Yeah, last year we went to a paranormal convention.
Oh wow.
Okay. And it was a disaster. I was very, very sick at the time. It was right before I had surgery. I was really deathly ill the day that we were there. I was just in no mood. Things were just not going right. And I said to her, she had come up in the room. I was sleeping. And I said to her, we're leaving. I don't want to be here. Nothing's working right. And we need to leave. So she said to me, well, what do you need? I said to her, I need to do workshops because nobody here knows who I am or what I do. And when we originally were doing it, they had said, you could do readings and whatever. But there were 9,000 psychics there. So nobody knows who I am. So she says to me, just give me till tomorrow. She goes, just, go to sleep. I'll take care of everything. Let's wait to see what happens tomorrow. Total coincidence, right? Do you want to tell the story how you ran into the guy that got the room and the whole thing? Well,
yeah, I ran into one of the massage therapists, and she was whining that she was explaining that she needed her laundry taken care of, and there's no laundromat at this hotel we're staying at, which I found shocking. So that's how it started. The ball started rolling. Right. I found this little, situation.
Hotel worker?
Right. No, I wasn't referring to him, although he was little. This little situation just ballooned from just that moment. Right. I was hearing her story, and someone came out of a side doorway wearing a jacket and a tag. I figured, he must be somebody. Asked him about the laundry. He said, we don't have it. So he offers to take the laundry home. So I'm thinking, could we be this lucky? Turns out he runs the hotel. And we found a room. We had purple chairs. It was just amazing.
She sends me for a massage because I was so sick. She goes, you go have a massage. Just go to sleep. I'll take care of everything. When I woke up from my massage, I had a message to go meet her in this conference room. And she's there with someone else that we were with. And I walk in and there were 100 purple chairs.
You're kidding.
Kidding you. Not kidding you. And I thought that's why she brought me in there. Look, the chairs are purple. She goes, could you do something with this room? And I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, it's yours for the entire day.
My word.
Mm-hmm.
So I wound up doing workshops all day long. And then in between the work, I would do an hour workshop, take an hour break, do an hour. And in between, I was doing readings. We had the greatest weekends. It was the greatest weekends. And again, it was just, she was like, let me see what I could do. And everything just fell into it. She did not go, let me go find the owner of the hotel. Because we had been asking for workshop space.
Yeah,
and the
did
people
ask.
that were running the event didn't want to hear anything. They didn't want to help you with anything. So she just coincidentally runs into the owner of the hotel. And I may point out, because you know I'm always complaining about this, that I think the bigger lesson to this story is she was nice enough to help somebody. Because you were helping the woman who was trying to get the laundry done. So see,
That
when you
is
do nice
key.
things, it comes back to
That
you.
is key. I absolutely believe in that. I tell my husband that all the time. In fact, the place where I get my fish, the lady's very miserable. And I feel sorry for people who are miserable every day. Once in a while you have a bad day. But if you're serving the public and you're miserable, you don't say hello, you don't say have a good day or whatever. And I walked away from her saying, you know, she must be having a really hard time. And I just made a mental note, like a little message to the universe. Please help her out. I don't know what it is. Just
Right.
put a smile on her face if that's whatever it takes. And the next week I went down there and I ordered my usual fish and she said, can I help you? I said, wow, I didn't have to, ask her
Right.
for it. And then she gave it to me. She said, thank you. Have a nice day. I could not believe it.
Like, wow.
I said, my message worked so quickly.
See that?
And all I asked was just put a smile on her
Right.
face because I was thinking that she must have a really hard life or,
must be a
something that
really
we
good
don't know
Sounds
reason
about.
like
why,
the
yeah.
bagel story that I had the other day. But remember what we told you in the beginning of the show? All of our guests always go, what can we possibly talk about for an hour? And we have our 2-minute warning. So
Okay.
the day goes by, the show goes by so quickly.
Very quickly.
It really does. Thank you so much for
It was
coming
my
on.
pleasure.
You were very, very interesting, and we definitely would love to have you back on if you
My
want to come
pleasure.
back on.
Absolutely. I would
Very
love to.
interesting with the palmistry. All right. So, in closing, Health and Healing Expo. That's all you're going to be hearing us talk about until it's over. Sunday, November 8th from 11 to 6. If you go onto the website, spiritquesthealingcenter.com, there is a list of all of the workshops, all of the psychics, all of the healers, all of the vendors. So you can literally pre-plan your entire day, everything that you want to take, everyone that you want to see before you get there. So when you get there, we'll direct you in the right spot. You sign up for everything and you'll have a great, phenomenal day. Those of you who want to join me for Halloween at the Shanley, again, go to the website. There's information. That's Saturday, October 31st, and all of the information is on there as well. And don't forget, when you come to the expo, you're going to get one of the little health and healing bags. And what color are they?
Purple.
Because is there any other color in the world? No, there's not. Except my pens. These are supposed to be
They
purple.
were supposed to be. It was
On the computer, they looked violet.
Oh,
And when I opened the
okay.
box, I was
You're
quite
excused.
shocked. But that wasn't my planning. So thank you for joining us. We hope that you were very entertained and got a little education and knowledge out of today's show as well. And as we say every week, remember, it is the journey, not the destination, that is important. So until we see you again next week, remember to dream big. Thank you.